Hello, hello everybody. Welcome to Queer Games. Heck yeah. I thought, rather than try and pretend I'm professional, I would just turn on the stream before I was slightly ready for it, um, just to see what happens. Yeah, it's looking alright. Okay, yeah, that's fine. And that's fine. There we go. Okay. I'm just fixing up the last little bits. Transition. Nope, wrong one. Close enough. Seems to be slightly off the screen. I don't quite know why. But oh well. Um, I'm still not quite set up. This is what I said. I thought, let's go early. Let's go live like a minute early so that you can see all how the sausage is made. But we'll get there. I'm just fixing up the stream. I'm going to check the audio. Headphones, correctamundo. I'm going to fix up my little headphone. Yep, we're all good. How is everybody? We're getting ready to start. Okay, now we transition. Now you'd see me appear and I'd go, hello everybody, welcome to Queer Games. Heck yeah. I'm Luke Miller, game dev. I love gay games, which is a subgenre of queer games. I'm helping out with the Queer Games Festival by taking screenshots. So since I'm playing the games, I thought I'd play them, streaming playing them, just to kind of like get the word out a little bit around the world about how great these games are. But and just give a little snapshot of them. We've only got a half an hour, so we never get too deep into them, but I think we get enough to kind of see a little bit of the magic. In today's game, speaking of magic, Lands of Fire, final iteration. But I suspect that's just a, maybe the version header. I'm really excited about this one. I'm always excited about all of them, but I'm extra excited about this one because I'm in Australia. I am Australian. I love Australia. But and so any like game set in Australia or about Australia, I'm always like, oh, what's this? What's this about? And this looks like we've got one today. In fact, it is. It looks to be like a furry visual novel, just based on the webpage. A furry visual novel based on like Australiana, flora and fauna and all that sort of stuff, which is pretty exciting. Maybe a poor choice of words there. But other than that, I don't know anything about this game. So we're going in cold. So if you don't like surprise content, look away. It could be, um, funny or sad or rude or too sugary. Who knows? Let's start. Night no longer exists, the wrath of the Sun Woman casting all of the land in eternal daytime. Keeping track of time is still possible by watching the shadows, and here in the coast, the tides. It is still an uncertain science, of course. Regardless, the elders have decided that today is the day I become a man. Right. Well, I mean, the first thing to say, I guess, obviously, when you're like a white Australian, there is a certain kind of, um, I guess, responsibilities you have when it comes to handling like Aboriginal Australian themes in games. In many ways, I think it's probably easier for people overseas to make a game about Australia than it would be for Australians sometimes, just because, quite rightly, white Australians have been asked by the communities involved to not appropriate their culture, or their art style and stuff. So, for example, I couldn't make an Aboriginal themed game for many reasons. It would be terrible, and I'd probably, and that's the way it is. So we are taking a little risk today on Queer Games. Heck yeah! And that I really hope the people that have made it, know what they're doing and have a clue. Excuse me while I have my afternoon tea. I wake up to the same bright midday glare that has drenched the sky for who knows how long, safely shaded within my gunya. I wash myself with a coolamon and chew some wattle bark to clean my teeth. After drying myself, I then use another coolamon full of white ochre and I reapply my body paint, forming stripes and patterns over most of my body. I use the water bowl as a mirror, carefully checking my patterns so as to look proper for the Gurnagal. As I enter the last touches, I hear footsteps, and sure enough, my sister enters the gunya. And here I thought I'd have to wake your lazy ass up. That's an American spelling. You look fantastic, by the way. Thanks, it means a lot to me. Then again, I'm your sister, so maybe I could just be saying that because I love you and you're actually messed up. Then I'll tell the elders it's your fault for lying to me. But don't worry about that. I know I look fantastic. I'm just Googling some stuff. Don't mind me. Does it remind me of something that I need to look up? If I find it, I'll tell you about it. If I can't find it, then I'm not going to mention it. It's exciting. The art style, though, it does remind me of, there were these cartoons when I was a kid. I want to say Dot and the Kangaroo, which was animation over film, or like over photographic backgrounds. And I realize now that this is a real heavy flashback to that. And I wonder if the devs were ever familiar with Dot and the Kangaroo. I mean, it was never great animation, but I was always impressed. It's always about this little girl that gets lost. Okay, what am I looking for here? I really need to do my prep work on this. No, I can't find it. I know of, well, I'll talk about it anyway. I know of, there is one Aboriginal game dev group that I know of, but I don't know if they're involved in this or not, because I don't actually know what they're working on at the moment. This is a really interesting one for me. Like, I'm trying to be, I always said going on Queer Games Heck Yeah, that I would want to be reactive and I want to react to what I'm seeing and I want to talk through my feelings. And I guess this is a complicated one for me because, as I said, it's like it's a very delicate topic in Australia. The state of race relations. It's like Australia's ahead in some ways and it's behind in other ways. We talk about reconciliation a lot, which is basically this process of both sides, black and white, just trying to agree on what happened. And it's so weird that even that's still contested. But you know, we've come a long way since when I was a kid. I literally think the history book I had in school said Aboriginal people faded off into the distance, like words to that effect. Just really terrible kind of ignorance. And I think nowadays there's sort of widespread recognition that it was, attempted genocide. And, and so there's a lot of good intentions on all sides to kind of come together and find like a common way forward, but there's still a lot of work to do, and a big part of it is sort of cultural awareness and cultural sensitivity. And so with this game, I'm a bit like, what does it mean? What does it all mean? Who worked on it? Is it, you know, Aboriginal people, like Indigenous Australians, have worked on it, or is it people who've, do they have cultural advisors, or are they overseas, or is it just some young kid who's just kind of gone, I'd love to make a game about, my favorite animals. There's those times where I wish I'd kind of done a bit of research. But let's push on, let's push on. Oh, thank you. I work really hard to be less arrogant and conceited. I do that by learning from you. Is that so? Quite. I always ask myself, what would my dearest sister Goodity do? And I do the opposite. So thank you. Goodity rolls her eyes but doesn't respond. Upon seeing her expression, I decide to not say anything. Okay, one thing I really do like about this game is to have like Australian animals as furries, because we have a big bear community here in Australia. And I always think, why on earth do we not call ourselves wombats, or koalas? It just kills me every time you go to some gay pub and it's bear night. And you're like, it should be wombat night? Have some respect. We weren't very close as children, but after that drought, we became the only family that mattered to each other. The elders say we basically weaved ourselves together, and for a while we rarely would be seen apart. Yet now that she's become a woman, we saw each other less and less, as we needed to fulfill, or in my case, prepare for, the roles men and women have in society. It's a little bit anthropological, this game, so far. You know what I mean? It's like, a bit educational. But maybe, is that the right thing? I'm terribly conflicted. If the devs are watching this, I do apologize. Nothing would make this Gurnagle anything less than the moment I've always waited for, but there would always be a bittersweetness to it, as it almost made the bond we regained pointless. I pray to Darumullum that, should either of us get married, it would be in the same tribe, be it Ewan or any other nation with Thylacine kinship. It doesn't matter as long as we get to see each other. I can't bear to lose her forever. Well, I'm ready. You'll have to take Mum's place in the Gurnagle. Okay, but correct spelling of Mum. Okay. Certainly, let's go already. I'm looking for any kind of clues. I'm like, I don't think it's Victoria. Could be Queensland. Could be New South Wales. See, this is the sort of thing I mean, that me as a developer, if I wanted to include a photo of a sacred place in my game, I would really, A, I probably would just avoid it, but B, I would definitely make sure I had permission. But even more likely, I would kind of like try and encourage the traditional owners of that area to make a game themselves. Because I do think it really is an area of game dev in Australia that is like absolutely going to take off one day in the near future. Because we just have this massive, amazing, piece of culture that is completely not explored in games yet. Like I'd love to do it like an Australian sci-fi. It's just, it's a bit beyond me. Large mounds circling the sky were built by me, the god of the sky, who bears witness to my performance. Anyway, so if this is a sacred place, I really hope they got permission. I'm not going to dwell on that though. I'm not going to say every 5 minutes, oh, I hope the people making this know what they're doing. I think we've just got to assume that they have, that, this is Queer Games, heck yeah. It's the way it is. Surprise content. When you and Dara wave at me and come up right beside us. Cute, cute, cute. Big day, huh? Nervous? No. Oh, you so are. It's okay, Kabadang. It's our current goal as well, remember? We just laugh at our failure in advance. Hey, thanks guys, but please don't screw things up for yourselves just to make me feel better. Not planning to, mate. Not even you are worth the glory that this will bring to me. He says that, but I see in his eyes that he'd throw everything away for me. Aww. Winyu is without doubt my closest friend, having been with me even before I patched things up with my sister. He always does everything he can to make me happy, and that would include botching his own initiation into manhood. I do like about this game how you have a history with your sister before the game starts. Like, I think a lot of games, or a lot of like media, it's almost as if the characters' lives start when the game starts, and they've got no backstory. They've got like, they grew up here or they did that and they did that, but they don't have like intersecting stories before that moment. So I'm really pleased about the sister thing. Now I feel twice as nervous. Hey, they're lighting the fire. It's going to start soon. Sure enough, men begin to wave the bull roarers, signaling the presence of a beloved Daramullum as he joins his father in the heavens as a witness. Or at least he would if the sun hadn't cut off the world from the night sky and thus from access to the spirit world. Still, it's as if I can still hear him in the music. It drones in my skull, vibrating within flesh and soul, and my sense of self dissipates as I died and I became one with the universe, beyond space and time. This follows neatly into the first part of the Kurankal, the dance. Men and women dance together for a bit, losing ourselves in the music. A few men shout, ending the first stage of the, I want to say, Kurankal? Oh well. The next stage is when I, Winyu, Dura, and a few other young men sit in front of the fire, so close as to make us sweat. Standing up behind me is Guradi, taking the role of my mother, while behind Winyu and Dara is Winyu's mother. The women that aren't with their charges put on bows and rugs to cover their eyes, and another shout prompts the next stage. It's a little bit it's a little bit like Wikipedia entry. I, Winyu, Dara, and a few other young men dance once more, now sweaty and shaken by the oppressive heat. We dance near the fire, our stamina pushed to the limits. Occasionally you can hear the crackles of hairs flying into the flames. Oh. Just know how to claps. I'm taking screenshots, by the way. The purpose of Quick Games, heck yeah. Just about to collapse, another shout is heard, and now rugs are placed on my head, and I'm led along a narrow path between the mounds of Guradi. I mean, that could be... It could be Gippsland. It looks a little bit too subtropical. I'm going to say like northern New South Wales, maybe. The rugs are removed, and I and the others arrive at a clearing with holes in the ground. Guradi helps me into one of those, which submerges most of my body. It actually feels pretty nice after dancing and walking for so long, and the cool earth helps. It's very wordy. Winyu and Dara follow after and look at me. Winyu makes a funny face, and I can't help but laugh. Laughter is what I need right now, because this is the peak of the Gorankal. Kurankal? Kurankal. Kurankal? The elders approach us. This time it's Moranga's turn, and he carries a wooden chiseling tool. Even Winyu is intimidated. I'm pretty much pissing myself right now. One by one, he approaches a young man in the holes and holds him still, opening his mouth, and dips the tool into the jaw, removing a single tooth. The other men shout and sing loudly to dull the pain and to make the tooth come out easier. Sure enough, while some men do cry, others laugh as blood drips from their mouths. Everyone will graduate, but those who plead and whimper have embarrassed themselves in the eyes of Ewan, be them ancestors or still living. It's my turn now, and I can't help but shiver. The shouting and the singing has distracted me up to this point, but my nerves threaten to make me scream. Winyu stares at me, worried, and I in turn worry if he will botch his performance when his turn comes. As Marunga comes beside me, however, I begin to calm down. He gives me that proud grandfather stare, and I can't help but smile a little. Winyu seems to be relieved by that, and smiles too. That's it, boy. Show me your teeth. Yum, yum, yum. Then he holds me in place and digs. The flatwood tool pushes my molar out, slowly and agonizingly. Pain flares through my mouth, and I worry if he broke my jaw. But as if on cue, he massages it, proving that he only took the tooth. As he finishes, his wing soothes away some of the pain, which I'm grateful because I nearly cried out. Then he moves on to Winyu, who is just as well behaved as me, and Dara, who screams and cries. I'm actually surprised, as platypodes usually lose all their teeth when they're still young, but I guess one remain for Marunga to take. I try to comfort him, but my mouth keeps on bleeding profusely. The gargling make it hard for me to talk, and the pain threatens to build up again, so I shut up. Gutterty brings me water to drink, and after the bleeding stops, I'm dug out of the hole. Me and Winyu are cheered, as are the other men who didn't cry, while Dara and the others who did are mocked. Come on, mates, he's my brother. Leave him alone or I'll knock the rest of your teeth out. Quoll youth. I can handle you emptying all of my jaws. Bring it on. Well, a quoll puts it back into Victoria. So there's different states in Australia, and I'm just trying to figure out where this game is set. Obviously, I'm barracking for my home state of Victoria. But nothing's leaving out of me as particularly Victorian. Look at this essay. Whatever bravado that fool had dims out when Rinu actually takes the offer and runs towards him. Luckily for everyone, the whole thing depleted them of strength, and they are stuck hitting each other lethargically, before Marunga and Yulu drag them away from each other. Dura, meanwhile, looks positively miserable, the pain dimming in comparison to the humiliation. Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, it's alright. What I would like with this game, I didn't realize I missed it until I noticed it's missing, is when it shows you a little portrait of whoever's talking, because there's 3 characters on the screen, and I'm struggling to figure out which text goes with which character. Hey, it's alright, you did your best. And now it's over, we can enjoy the party, alright? Dara wipes his tears and nods, trying to look happy for Winyu and me. I think Dara is the platypus on the far right of the screen. Okay, I think one is a Tasmanian tiger, thylacine. One is a platypus. The one up the back, some sort of, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Honestly, better him than me. As the men recover, the women say their goodbyes. Gutterty hugs me, and I hug her back tightly. But only briefly, since I don't want to be laughed at. I'm supposed to be a man now, after all, and people really think I act like she's my mother. As she leaves, I feel empty, but that emptiness is quickly discarded as the elders begin singing and dancing, starting the festivities to come. I sigh happily and I doze off. For the next few days, all the men in the tribe... That could be like central New South Wales. I'm leaning towards like northern New South Wales. But I've got nothing to back that up, really. For the next few days, all the men in the tribe gather together. It could be like a surprise Western Australian one or something. Location. It could just be generic Australia, just all over the place. For the next few days, all the men in the tribe gather together, partying all the way. All types of meat are enjoyed, aside from possum and bandicoot, and gum cider lifts our spirits. As typical for a thylacine, I eat and drink a lot, and my friends egg on me until I'm drunk and nearly vomiting. Winyu and Dara look out for me, and the elders decide I should probably leave some gum cider for the rest of the guys. It's basically a polite way of telling me I won't drink for a while, which sours my mood a little. We dance and sing, and we listen to the elders telling us the escapades of Daramullum, the secret stories meant to be shared with only the men of the Yuan and no one else. I'm just going to Google or DuckDuckGo. South coast of New South Wales. There we go. I had the right state, but I was a little far north. I guess that's. I don't know how far north platypuses go. Platypi? Platypuses. The platypus goes. So maybe that should have been a clue that it was a bit further south. The quoll thing should have pulled us further south, I reckon. Because I don't think they're really widespread. Okay. It's a nice part of the planet, for sure. Stories are sacred to us, and I can feel Dara feels very privileged for this, as he was adopted by Winyu's family. We always did our best to make it clear he was one of us, but I can tell this is the moment where his doubts are put to the rest. We draw pictures of Daramullum, the only time when such is appropriate, as well as whatever else we feel to express ourselves. I use ochre to paint pictures of the moon, lunar crescents at various stages that Daramullum jumps in profile, adorning the track rocks along the rest of the gallery spanning thousands of years. The work of thousands of artists who left pieces of themselves in a flat expanses on the ground, and many pictures forming endless rows. Some even seem to work upon those preceding them, a perfect chain representing the history of our people. It's pretty cool. This gives me immense joy as I feel connected to all of those who came before me, but also it makes me feel nostalgic for a time when I could see the night sky. Perhaps their grief pollutes me as well. I mean, is this an adventure to, like, bring back the night sky? That would be pretty cool. As if to confirm this, a few of the elders look at my moons with what seems to be longing. They say nothing, and I feel like I've accomplished something important, like divine inspiration flows through me. Like both Daramullum and the ancestors flows from my fingers into the ochre and into the rocks, leaving behind eternal history. I know your name literally means moon, but you don't need to go overboard with it. That's fair. And the moment's ruined. If only my name wasn't Sun. Then again, I have a different idea in mind. Oh? I regret asking. His masterpiece consists mostly of dicks interlocked within dicks, forming a phallic latticework. Many of the elders just throw their arms and leave, but Yulu and Marunga seem to find it very amusing. Hours of pretension are now this. Took longer than usual. Hey, I'll have you know that this truly expresses the divine will to create. Well, you're not wrong. Well, at least it's very well drawn. Congratulations. It will last for 1,000 lifetimes and confuse everyone that comes after that. Why, thank you. Winyu winks at me and I fluster a little. If there are still people in 1,000 lifetimes. Thank you for ruining the mood, by the way. Winyu. At ease, Gabadang. I did bring searing sunlight to a pleasantly shaded conversation. Carry on for now. Yulu seems like he wants to say more, but doesn't, and leaves with Marunga. They're hiding something, and anxiety begins to crawl within my chest like hagfish up a whale's corpse. Hey, you alright? They're hiding something. Which they'll probably reveal at the meeting. Come on, relax a little. You're way too stressed. Winyu hugs me and I feel a lot calmer. He has a wonderful way of soothing people, which I can only imagine to be truly helpful as both me and Dara are handfuls. Yes. Feeling better? Always. I nuzzle against him and let him sit us down near some rocks. It's clear by now that we have feelings for each other, but for some reason neither of us has taken the next step and admit we love each other more than just as friends. It's infuriating, especially since Winyu's the one to always go with the flow and all that crap, yet he gets cold feet about this. It tears at me on the inside, but I decide to let go of that grudge for now. I kneel before him. Oh, and open his possum pelt rugs. So they're furries and they're wearing animal pelts? That's something. Right here, huh? You're the last person to complain. Besides, I want to get even and relax you instead. Winyu shrugs and lets me suck him off. Alright. Eventually, the Kurungal festivities conclude with the whole reason they exist in the first place. I, Winyu, Dara, and the other men are now partaking in the men's meetings to decide the fate of our people. Another stage had been erected, still with tall mounds, but more tucked within Mount Gulaga's forests. Yulu sounds the bull roar and sings, a ritual to keep the concealing enchantment strong. A cyan light coats the meeting stage, making it look as if it's underwater. Only Yuan men are able to find the place and see and hear what went on inside. I already have a feeling things would be heavy, so I'm not surprised to find so much tension in the air as I enter the stage and sit beside my friends. Everyone is here, let's begin. This Kurungal was rather favourable to us, though a few of you couldn't help yourselves. Most braved the pain and laughed at it in the face. We Yuan are not a warrior nation, but our tribe might as well be one now. Damn right. Many young men cheer and howl, and for a moment it almost seems like the tension is gone, but it stays within me, as if I was its host, and soon it dominates the stage again, as if it poured out of my body. Winyu seems to read my thoughts and holds my paw, trying to comfort me. He motions for me to lean against him, but I remain still, listening to the elders. Not even here in our coves have we been spared from the Sun Woman's monsters. Bunyips patrol our waterways, leaving us only the sea to fish and the dew to drink. Yarama Yahoo take our children and twist them into their own flesh. Gakane fly over the very heights of our sacred mountain. Dalagal comes from Mount Golaga itself. Even her black and red dogs have taken some of our own for her to devour personally. The Yuan as a whole have held out better than most other nations. We have hidden ourselves and coated our weapons in ochre, but that is barely enough. We are fragmented and dwindling. Soon our tribe will be overrun or trapped and starved. I wince, painful memories returning to me. Winyu notices and hugs. Oh, I guess they lost their mum this way, maybe? Winyu notices and hugs me, and I lean into him, trying to fight back tears. Which is why you were happy about us being warriors. Poor idiot. He tried to lighten the mood, but failed miserably. Sure, physical strength and endurance will help, but they will not save us. Rather, our warriors will be the ones to use their strength and endurance to travel to Budgebim and seek allies there. I almost thought there was sound. Do you think the Gundich Mara will help us? Now we're talking, Victoria. An elder, a bearded dragon, sighed. It is our only hope. Pfft, we don't need them. Let's just slaughter the monsters and kick the Sun Woman's ass. Who's with me? No one is. Most men will stay here to fight, and we will send a small delegation to plead for help at Budgebim. Too large a group will attract the Sun Woman's attention and require too many resources, as 3 men and a woman will travel by sea to the Gundich Mara shores. With no complications, you will be there within a few days. Wait, a woman? The elders looked down grimly. There's always the possibility that our people may perish here, so our culture may have to survive in exile. The men will have to marry and continue the Yuan totem lines of our tribe, while the women will carry our religion and ways. Nice. Abroad to bang on the way before getting some Sheila's preggers. I'm in. Oh, but I thought you wanted to fight. Screw fighting when I can get pussy. Oh dear. You know, I came for the... Yes. I'm okay when it's like the same sex men on men. When it's like possum on possum, I'm fine with that. You won't be going, for your own safety, of course, since she'd probably drown you. And rightfully so. The Quoll and a few other men shoot eye daggers at Dura, who cowers and sits closer to me and Winyu. Have you already decided which woman will go? Yes, Goodity has volunteered. His sister. My mind feels like I've been hit with a wave. It's like I'm underwater. I even struggle to breathe. Winyu and Dura look at each other and me, worried. Gabadang. I'll go. Everyone stares at me. I've proven myself in the Kurungal. I can handle weapons. I will row until my arms fall off my sockets. From my sockets. I try my best to hold back tears, but my voice cracks. An extra tooth would have been really handy right about now. Please, I can't lose her. We pack very little. We each carry water kulamons, and Goodity also carrying one full of herbs, and Winyu one full of okra. We don't bring any food. We expected to fish and hunt on the way, and to these ends all of us bring bone hooks. Each of us carries a weapon. We each made one in the days preceding our journey. Mine is a non-returning boomerang, a curved wooden blade rimmed with black ochre. Dara also carries a boomerang, though his is a returning one, and is thus blunter and lighter than mine. White ochre forms waving patterns like snakes, and there are a pair of crescents on either end. Yes, I feel like the limited resources of an indie dev are showing through here, because I think they would have loved to have had their own artwork here rather than these stock photos. Well, they might not be stock photos, but rather than a photo, I think they would have rather have had art. Wait, photos are art. You know what I mean. God. Winyu asks if it was in my honor, and Daru predictably just blushed and shifted the conversation. Winyu's weapon is a sword club, an unusual weapon for a Yuan to make, but quite fitting since he's easily the strongest of us four. It is rimmed with red ochre, but the same penis lattice work he painted on the rocks is also there. Guridi surprisingly went for an axe, also rimmed in red ochre, whereas this is something women are trained to use, or whereas this is something women are trained to use, or if it is just her bloodthirsty tendencies remains a mystery to me. Each of us also carries a message stick, inscribed with messages of help. We don't have a pole to put them on, as it'd be too heavy, so we have to show them manually when we get to our destination. I can see the archival date on this object. Our goodbyes are as light as our belongings. Goody hugs her friends and they cry a bunch. She may never see them again. So part of me sheds a few tears with her, although I don't dare to whine or hiccup. Winyu and Dara are not the only young men in our tribe, and they say their farewells to a few. Even the Quall gets a hug and a forehead rub from Winyu, which is far more than I'd give to that Heka. Seriously, did they become friends overnight or something? As for me, I've never made friends beyond Winyu, Dara, and Guridi. Indenko was my only other, and their loss is why I'm the mess that I am. Still, I dare approach the elders. I let them initiate contact, to stare at me with grandfatherly amusement and pat me on the shoulders. Among them, Marunga and Yulu are the ones that focus on me the most. I must admit, a part of them sees them as my grandparents, kind and always there for me and my friends, but I still resent them. They seem to notice that, and look at me sadly. Marunga touches my shoulder with his wing, rubbing it softly. Gabadang, is this the last time we see you? How should I know? Every moment is one where she could just kill me, or one where one of her monsters could gut me, or maybe you could just deny me the right to drink until I die. A few other youths laugh, thinking about the gum cider. None of the elders do, and neither do Winyu or Guridi. Neither do most of the young women, but judging by their looks of confusion, it's probably because they don't know about my gum cider incident, rather than respect for the drought. Gabadang, we love you like our own son. What we did doesn't deserve forgiveness, and we don't ask for you to love us back. All we want for you is to be safe. I will fight for my survival, so you don't have to worry about that. A moment passes, and I decide to swallow my spite for a rare instance. I will return to you. I don't promise forgiveness. I'm not interested in revenge, but I will see you again. We will have closure. That's all we ask. Travel safely, little moon. With all said and done, we got into our canoes and paddled away from the shore. Alright, well, we'll go for another minute, why not? We keep mostly offshore, with the coast just barely in sight for reference. Not only will we cover the distance faster, we will also need to keep distance from the shoreline, lest a monster decides to dive or fly after us. The sea itself is not entirely safe, but we Yuan have allies here. Everyone, look. Sure enough, I thought there'd be some orcas in this. Down on that part of Australia, there's a really famous story. There's a town there called Eden, and it started as like a whaling, no, not like a fisherman port. Like there was no, like when they first built it, there were no roads. You could only get there by boat. And famously, there was a pod of orcas living in the bay, and they would, I think, shepherd in other sea life. I think like other whales or dolphins or fish or whatever. And then they would go up to the fishermen. They go to the shore and like get their attention, and kind of lead them out. And so the humans and the orcas had like this, symbiotic relationship. Super smart creatures. Greeting us with their dorsal fins. Orcas and Yuan have fished together since time immemorial. Together we hunt the colossal whales of the southern seas, with the orcas requesting only the massive tongue and lips. That's right, yep. And the fishermen would give them the tongue and the lips, while they give us the rest of the corpse for us to feast for days at a time. This lore of the tongue is especially helpful during these times, as the orcas also hunt down the monsters that dare to stalk the depths. I've been to the sea in my navigation training during the Kurungal festivities, but I can't help but shed a tear every time I witness the majesty of our friends. That behaviour probably really predates Eden, I've just realised. Or been schooled. Interesting, interesting. You want to touch one, huh? Well, don't. If you do, you might slip and your ochre will be washed away. Let's get them to come closer. Winyu taps the prow of his canoe with his row, and sure enough, one comes to investigate. I trace my fingers in its smooth skin, carefully balancing myself as to not drop out of the canoe. Careful, Gubbadang. Calm the heck down, Dora. I am being careful. And just like that, I tip over and fall into the sea. Oh, how we always forget. You do the opposite of what you say. But seriously, we only have so much okra. I climb back on board, and Winyu paddles closer so we can inspect how much my body paint I lost. There's still a bit left, but it's best that I put some more on, you know. I can make you drive faster with my body heat. Alright, let's save it there. Because we've gone way over the half hour. But let's face it, for me, it was a bizarrely interesting game. Like, gay, Aboriginal, furry visual novel, Australian. Like, tick, 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 tick. How exciting. I do feel you could feel the limitations of the available resources. As far as visual novels go, it was very wordy, and not as much character art as others, I guess. But the character art that was there was really great. Really great world building. It did take me back to those books you have as a kid, you know, the Rainbow Serpent, things like that. So it felt kind of like a pretty good telling. Once again, I have no idea the journey this game has made to be here. If you know more about it, please let me know. You know, I'm really interested in this kind of thing. I will say if you're a dev watching this and you're interested in like First Nations games and that, there are a lot of funding bodies in Australia who I think would be really interested in more games with these themes because they're a little hard to get off the ground, right? Because of, I guess, cultural considerations, right? You can't just have anybody apply. You actually need to, I think, you know, have people who have a clue and maybe some connection to the communities involved to make the games. So yeah, put the word out because we need more. We need more historical dramas. We need more sci-fi. We need more political and contemporary First Nation games for sure. And we definitely need more like queer ones. All right, thank you for joining me on today's Queer Games Heck Yeah. We are. I'm going to say it officially. We are beginning to run out of games now. But that's kind of a good problem to have in a way. I hope you've been enjoying them, and I'll see you next time, if there is indeed a next time.